is clear. This is an FAA mandate. We have to do this to have an airport. The great thing about this, it's a big number. $3,000 is coming from the county's capital cash reserves. The airport is really a great deal for the county because with most big capital expenditures, 90% is paid for by the federal government, 8% is paid for by the state, and the county's responsibility is 2% of the cost. There is also disadvantaged business enterprise certification renewal, which is a process that we have to go through with the FAA. And the $6,000 is for our consultants to fulfill those requirements for us. And it's basically an accounting going through our records to make sure that we've awarded contracts properly in accordance with Virginia procurement laws and state and federal laws as well. But there is a process and a report that is required to be submitted to the FAA. That $6,000 is for our consultant to prepare that cost. Again, same ratios. The federal government will pay for 90%, state will pay for 8%. Our cost to prepare that report is $120. Moving to the fire department, I will note that we're not proposing any funding for FY22 of the projects, but there are some projects listed here that I would recommend paying attention to because at some point there are projects that we are going to have to address. I don't feel we have the capacity to address those in the next fiscal year. Moving to general services, there's a need for resurfacing of pavement, parking lot pavement within our complex here, as well as other off-site county facilities. The request was for $527,692. That's the request I received from our General Services Department, and that was to take care of the entire campus at one time. I'm actually proposing that we phase this approach over a number of years, 4 to 5 years, and I'm proposing that we allocate $150,000 for the resurfacing of our parking lots. UPS replacement at the Sheriff's Office, that's power backup for all the computers in the Sheriff's Office, mainly the 911 center. So if we lose power in our complex, we'll at least be able to keep the 911 center up until we can get backup power, more permanent backup power to that facility. The next project is a historic courthouse building upgrade. There are some needs for some general maintenance at the historic courthouse, which is currently the school board office. The windows are in dire need of replacement, also gutters, and some painting is needed for that facility. It's one of our oldest structures in the county, so I feel that it's very important that we preserve that building. And also county facility rehab projects. This is just a general maintenance line item that our General Services Department carries, and that's $30,000. Moving to IT, they had 2 requests for next fiscal year. One was the upgrade of our surveillance cameras. Just due to our funding capacity, I'm recommending that we put that off for at least another year. But I am recommending the replacement of our data network infrastructure, which involves routers, switches, and gateways. I'm not an IT person, so I couldn't tell you specifically what that is, but I can tell you that keeps our network going. Those items, too, are on a 5-year replacement schedule, too, and it is time for those items to be replaced. Moving to Parks and Recreation, I am not recommending that we fund their one request for next fiscal year, but it is something that we will look at in out years, and that is lighting for our new Pine Fork Park facility. It would be nice to have lighting at our ball fields and parks, but I don't see that as a necessity compared to some of the other needs that we have in this plan. In planning, you'll see two items that's not recommended for approval. The purchase of development rights and affordable housing programs. These are two items that we receive proffers from. And per the state code, if you're to receive proffers, it has to be, it has to be consistent with your comp plan, but it also has to be in your capital improvements plan in order to receive those proffers. That's why those items are listed here, but no funding is proposed from the county's budget, but we will be receiving proffers for these two items. The school board, which is currently roughly half of our operating budget, so it makes sense that they have a big number as far as our capital improvements program as well. What's being proposed is a purchase of 6 buses, $698,700. Buses are expensive. They're about $116,000 a piece. It seems like each year it goes up. When I first started as county administrator and working on capital improvement programs, I believe the costs were $85,000. But as more federal and state requirements have been placed on the schools, the costs have gone up. Like now, there's 360-degree cameras on all of our buses so the bus drivers can see completely around the building. And it makes sense, but there is a cost associated with that. And our buses now do have air conditioning too, which is nice. I didn't have that when I was going to school, but well. They also have funding allocated for parking lot paving in the amount of $120,000. They have a project of digital conversion, one-to-one learning initiative. What this is, this $100,000 is the maintenance fee for the Chromebooks that are currently issued to, well, used to be just middle and high school. Now I believe it's every student has a Chromebook today. And that $100,000 is a portion of the maintenance fee. The total maintenance fee is $300,000, but we covered $200 in our operating budget, $100 in capital. This will be the last year that we cover this in capital. My ultimate goal has always been to get this expenditure into our operating budget because really it truly is an operating cost. New Kent Middle School HVAC system replacement of $100,000. The middle school, and you've probably, this is a familiar line item for you as for the past several years, they've had HVAC replacement for the middle school in their budget. It's a weird design for a school at our New Kent Middle School. I believe there's about 40 or 50 individual HVAC systems in that one school building, which is pretty uncommon. But that's what we have, and the school has a phased approach to replace each unit. And I say it's uncommon. It actually can be a good thing because if one HVAC unit fails, you don't have to shut the entire school down. So, school vehicles, $50,000. This is, I believe, probably the first year you've seen a school vehicle line item because our practice in the past has been to recycle our sheriff's vehicles to the schools. But as Ford is no longer, they're getting out of the car business and the police cruiser business. Chevrolet has gotten out of the car business and moved to SUVs. Everybody's moving to SUVs now. That's what we're proposing to purchase for our sheriffs going forward is the Ford Explorer. The police version is called the Ford Interceptor, but it's basically an Explorer with a souped-up engine. Apparently, it is a Virginia school system policy that kids cannot be transported in SUVs, which is weird to me. And I think it goes back to the early SUVs when there were high turnover rates. And that just never got changed. But that is the current policy, that students cannot be transferred in SUVs. So therefore, they're going to have to start buying vehicles now, which we've had the luxury in the past of them not having to do that. Roof maintenance, repairs, and this is just a general line item, the next line item. They have a lot of flat roofs in their inventory, and they always keep money on hand to address leaks as they arise. Then they have a miscellaneous improvement item, which consists mainly of painting during the off months of school. New Kent Elementary School, major renovations to be determined there. They currently have a study underway to look at the two existing elementary schools and develop a plan for the renovation of those two facilities. So they won't have an amount actually until those plans are complete, but they wanted to put a placeholder there to let us know that at some point they'll be back asking for funding to address their findings. And we've also put another placeholder in there, and that's the construction of a New Kent Middle School. I mean, we know that it's probably about 6 or 7 years out, hopefully, 6 or 7 years out, if not sooner. So we wanted to put that placeholder in there to remind us that expenditure is coming. It's my plan to start saving for that expenditure now. And we'll address that when we get to our operating budget. You know, with the new elementary school that we just approved, that was a $35 million project, but we only had to borrow $22 million because we had set aside money previous years leading up to this year. I hope to be able to accomplish the same thing with the middle school as well. Moving to the sheriff's office, body cameras and taser replacements. We get both of those items from the same manufacturer. Both of them carry a 5-year warranty, so it's time for us to replace those body cameras and the tasers that all of our officers are issued. Moving to social services, they've requested $40,000 to do some renovations in the lobby of the Human Services building, which will give them additional space within their suite by incorporating some of the lobby area into the DSS suite. All right, and I'm not going to go through, you have the list before you, but on the next page are vehicle replacements, computer replacements, and copier procurements. I won't go through them individually, but we'll explain. We do have a vehicle replacement policy. It is 150 miles, 150,000 miles per county vehicle, or when the maintenance cost exceeds a certain threshold, then departments qualify for a vehicle replacement. With computers, we are on a 5-year replacement schedule with computers. That is the longest we can get Dell, our manufacturer, to provide a warranty for our computers. So it makes sense to replace them at that period when the warranty expires. Copier procurements is something new. In previous years, we've always rented our copiers. We've done some analysis, and we found that it's actually cheaper if we purchase the copier machines straight out. We get the same maintenance plans, same service plans, but the numbers work out better if we actually purchase the copier machine. So when copier lease agreements come up for renewal, instead of renewing the lease, we'll just be purchasing new copiers. That concludes the general operations CIP request. The next page, you'll see the public utilities request. The big one with public utilities is the solid stabilization, dewatering, and disposable line item, which is the first item of $1.3 million. That $1.3 million actually is just the engineering to build a facility that will treat the byproducts of the sewage treatment process. Currently, what we do is we haul the sludge, is what we refer to it as. We haul the sludge to Henrico when they will accept it. As Henrico is growing just like we are, and I really think COVID has a lot to do with it because more people are at home and generating more waste. There's been times throughout the year that Henrico just hasn't been able to accept our sludge, which puts us in a huge bind, and we're having to broker deals with other localities and haul it to meet our needs. Our usage rates are increasing as well, and we're really at the point where we need to become self-sufficient as far as our utility system and construct this facility. It is not a cheap system to construct. We estimate the cost is going to be about $7.5 million to build this facility. But essentially what it is it treats the byproduct of waste to sludge, it dries it, and it treats it to a state where we can send it to a landfill. You also have some upgrades of some existing systems located. The Colonies, probably one of our oldest water systems in the county. It's time for some replacements of the water tank there and well. Also, Route 106 extensions, install water and sewer lines along Route 106. Currently, our water system, and this is sewer as well, stops pretty much at the Burger King right now on 106, if you're familiar with that. But just south of that is an area that we've designated for economic opportunity, and we'd like to get water and sewer to that area, which essentially, if you're familiar with 106, is Business Park Road. This will actually open up about 900 acres of land for economic development. Utilities Operations Center, $150,000. That is for the expansion of our current public utilities office. We're pretty much out of space there, and that's a good price for the planned expansion. A good part of that is because within our public utilities departments, there's a lot of the skill sets are within that department to do a lot of the work themselves. They will have to outsource some of it, but that's what that project is for, to add additional office space to the public utilities office. Pamunkey River withdrawal permit, $100,000 is to begin land acquisition. I don't know if you're familiar, but we have received a permit from DEQ to withdraw water and treat water from the Pamunkey River to serve the residents of the county. We see that as probably a 15-year project, but we do recognize the need to start securing land for that now before it's gobbled up by other uses. River intake and pipeline mitigation projects, that goes along with our Pamunkey River water withdrawal project. And as part of our permit, we are required to participate in a shad and heron study. And what we agreed to do is pay $25,000 towards the study to the state for a period of 3 years. I believe this is the last year of that $25,000 payment. And I see that I missed one too. Replace grit classifiers at Perm Landing, which is part of the treatment process that removes the solids from the wastewater. That's what the grit classifiers are, and there's $100,000 for the replacement of that. All right, public utilities projects. What's being recommended for funding totals $3,075,000. Again, it's no taxpayer dollars towards this. It's solely supported by fees and revenues received from our public utilities system. On page 17 of this document, it's an overview of our capital improvements fund balance. And I'm not going to go over all of this. I'm just going to skip right down to the bottom because basically what this complicated spreadsheet states is that we have currently available in our capital fund balance $8.6 million in our CIP account, which I feel is a very healthy number. With the projects that I've proposed for funding, that will leave us with a balance of $6,076,884.51 in capital improvements projects. Now, part of that money, about $1.32 million of that is actually proceeds received this year from Colonial Downs, which the board is putting that in a set-aside account, so that's not really accessible. So really it leaves you with the true balance of approximately $4.7 million, $4.8 million of available CIP funds on hand. My goal from day one has been to get this number to about $5 million, and I'm glad that we're there. I believe when I started as county administrator, we had got down to about maybe a little under $2 or right around $2 million of unobligated, unappropriated CIP funds. So I think the county is in a very healthy position as far as available funds in our budget. I ask that you, when you have the opportunity, go through the request. And if you have any questions, please feel free to contact me. I'd be happy to sit down and go over it with you or answer whatever questions you may have. And I'm hoping that we would be in a position to do the public hearing at your December meeting. Thank you, and that concludes my presentation. Yes.
Your projections that you anticipate on receiving certain incomes, do you feel that we're going to have a hardship with our income that's coming in? Sorry.
No, that's...
Due to the COVID, a lot of our businesses have not been operating, especially like Rosie's has not been operating. They were at a standstill. So it's somewhere there's going to be a little less than what we anticipate.
Well, remember when COVID hit and we declared a state of emergency, it was mid-March. Right before we were getting ready to adopt a budget, and before we adopted that budget, we went back and readjusted our budget, and we decreased our revenue projections from tax revenues, meals tax, business license taxes, and others before we actually adopted the budget. And we've been monitoring the revenues since the beginning of the fiscal year, and I'm very pleased to say that our sales tax numbers are outperforming our numbers last year. We've not seen a slowdown in sales tax. Our meals tax has fell slightly behind, but it is above what we've projected. Business license, I'd say the same. That's fell a little bit behind last year, but it's still above what we've projected as well. We're looking really good as far as our revenues right now compared to where we were last year, and definitely compared to what we budgeted. Oh, I'm sorry. There was one other question, Colonial Downs. As you know, they shut down for a number of months. We project that loss to be about $1.4 million. I'm also very pleased to say that Colonial Downs are producing numbers now today that they were before they shut down. The county receives approximately $130,000 a week from Colonial Downs in revenue, and that's about where we were when they shut down. So that revenue looks good too.
Okay, the other question I was concerned about is the PPE program that came from the state of Virginia to the county.
Yeah.
I know that the funding, it sounds like they are giving you something, but at some point in time, somebody's got to replace the money that was spent. Is the county going to have to pay any of that back, or are we going to have increase on taxes to replace the money spent?
You know, most of what we've gotten through CARES Act funding is actually federal money that's trickled down through the state to us, and we received a little over $4 million in CARES Act funding, which has been another definite benefit to us and has kept our budget, I think, floating too. I think at some point we all know the money is coming from somewhere, and there could be repercussions, but I'm not sure what they could be. Again, this funding originated at the federal level. Will we see impacts in grant revenues or other federal revenues, education, and so forth? That's definitely a possibility. But I will say I wouldn't be surprised with the new administration coming in that we receive another round of CARES Act funding. I mean, there's talks now of another package being put together, and we could potentially receive additional funding. Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Hathaway.
Mm-hmm. Any other questions for Mr. Hathaway? Thank you, Rodney.
Okay, thank you.
Nice presentation. So we'll have the public hearing and give the recommendation next month for this,
Yes,
correct?
thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Do we need to make that into a motion, that it be set for public hearing?
I don't believe so. I believe it's in your bylaws that the chair approves the agenda for each meeting.
Usually Kelly will email me.
So if the chair sees fit and is okay with it.
I say let's do it.
Okay.
All right. We'll move on along on the agenda. Is there any unfinished business? No. All righty. No public hearings? Any new business?
I have staff report.
Okay. So you think that the CIP will be the only thing on the agenda next? Oh, okay, never mind. Chairman's report. I don't really have a report. And Mr. Moyer's not here for Plan RVA unless anybody else attended that and wants to report on it. Nope. Any reports from my fellow commissioners? Nope. Staff report, Kelly.
Just a couple things. So yes, we will do the public hearing for the CIP next month. We also have a CUP for a home occupation. There's a gentleman that wants to train dogs at his house, so it's another dog opportunity CUP that we're going to have on the agenda. And then Miss Adams asked me to let you all know that there's possibly going to be one AFD withdrawal application and then 2 AFD district renewal applications that we're going to be going forward with. And then she also asked me to remind Ms. Townsend, Ms. Butler, Ms. Pearson, Mr. La Rochelle, and Mr. Davis that y'all's terms are up at the end of the year. So get with your board member to let them know if you continue to be on the Planning Commission, if you want to continue serving.
We got letters too in the mail.
Did you? Yeah, Ms. Watkins said she sent them out.
Yeah.
That's all I have.
Did anything ever come back for the solar farm? I gotten contacted a couple of times about that, and
We are meeting with them actually on Wednesday at the staff level for a development review committee.
Oh, really?
So I will have more information as to what their plans are. Solar's really hot right now, so on top of that big...
no pun intended.
I didn't mean it, yes, you're right. Anyway, so you're talking about the big industrial scale one on
The
Oliver
one that
Church.
they spoke at the visitor center about?
Yeah, it kind of went dormant for a while,
Yeah.
but now it's back. I
Okay,
haven't gotten any paperwork or applications, so I'm gonna find out more information on Wednesday. But
okay,
I'm also getting a lot of inquiries about community scale solar projects, which are about 25 acres. Haven't gotten anything as far as applications, but people put the feelers out there about what kind of process they'd have to go through. And the only way they can do it in New Kent right now is through a use permit.
okay.
So stay tuned, I guess. We can have a whole solar meeting in the future.
Might have some activity at the beginning of the year then.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
This solar farm is bigger than the first one that we did in Barron'sville?
I think when it comes down to the land that they're going to propose to put the panels on, it'd be about the same size. So there's a lot of wetlands and undevelopable land on these parcels. But I'll definitely let you know when I find out.
I was just wondering about I know there was a limitation on the amount of power they could put out to keep them having to pay personal property taxes.
Oh, the megawatts, 20 megawatts.
So if it goes over 20 meg, they would.
That's a different ballgame, yeah.
Huh.
I'll definitely let you know.
Okay. Is that it?
That's it for staff reports, yes.
Thanks, Kelly.
Thanks.
So the next meeting is Monday, December 21st at 6:30 here. It sounds like we're going to forego the holiday party this year.
We can bring in the serving utensils, can we do it?
Rodney?
I would just say, this group is small enough if you wanted to have it.
Okay.
You know, we canceled our countywide one because you got a couple hundred people
Sure.
all standing over a table.
Yeah.
It's not a good situation.
Well, I'm all for it if you guys want
I
to
would
do it.
suggest that just everybody remember to try to make it, if you bring something, bring it that it's easy to serve
Sure.
and, not moist or, getting like hot wings or something.
Yeah. Yeah.
Bring a
Okay.
serving utensil with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And bring your own gloves.
Can you relay that out, Kelly? I mean, just about the holiday get together at maybe what do we do? 5:30?
Did you want to do 5:30?
5:30?
Yeah, we'll need to put it on the agenda that you're meeting at 5:30, but not conducting any business until 6:30.
Right.
If that's what y'all want to do.
Maybe bring a dish or something.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. All right. Anything else for the greater good? Can I get a motion to adjourn? All right. Meeting adjourned at 7:13.
All right, thank you.